The prophetic events of the seven seals were called the beginning of sorrows by Jesus. He began that discourse of end-time events with a warning.
Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many.
Because those who deceive would call Jesus the Christ. The undiscerning will believe the deceitful lie. We find echoes of this in the writings of Paul the Apostle. He wrote of a great delusion that God Himself would bring upon those who do not love the truth, but are hankering after signs and wonders, and would be deceived by satanic miracles. But the falling away comes first. The primary meaning of the Greek word translated as falling away is apostasy, or defection from truth or forsaking the truth. Apostasy relates to the believer, the Christian. Paul writes that before Jesus comes for His church, there would be an apostate doctrine that will be preached in His church. The question is, what is that doctrine? What is that apostate doctrine? Is it not the mixing of the old covenant of law with the new covenant of grace? When Jesus shared the parable of the vine and the wineskins, He meant that we should not pour new wines into old wineskins, and vice versa, lest both the vines and the wineskins be destroyed. This means we should not interpret the new covenant according to the old, and vice versa, because the old covenant was replaced by the new. This is precisely the apostasy that is being preached in most churches today. We are told that we can enjoy the blessings of the old covenant of health, wealth, and honor through the new covenant of grace. And this has been going on for quite some time now. The deceit is already here. Soon the trumpets would sound, and the man of perdition would be revealed, and so would the great delusion come upon the world.
Who is the Antichrist? Let's turn to the book of Revelation, chapter 17, to find the answer.
And I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Our focus is not on the woman, but on the beast who bears her.
I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition.
If the beast is going to ascend from the bottomless pit or the abyss, it is obvious that he is there now. The scriptures tell us who is in the abyss at the present time.
And the angels, who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, He has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day.
And again,
For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment.
There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown.
These are the angels found in the abyss now. They were trying to contaminate the human genome, and God had to destroy the whole human race with a flood. Only Noah was found to be pure in his genome, and he was spared. Let's get back to Revelation chapter 17.
Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen. 1 is.
Since Rome was ruling at the time of John, Rome is the 6th king or kingdom.
And the other has not yet come.
This other is the 7th king who will appear in the future. He is depicted as the feet of iron and clay in Nebuchadnezzar's dream interpreted by Daniel. This king could be an iron-willed authoritarian ruling over a democracy that is malleable, as clay is prone to deception. He will rule in the first half of the tribulation during the trumpets, and he will cause the temple to be rebuilt and the sacrifices to begin after he brings peace between Israel and its neighbors. John saw this third temple in his visions, and he was asked to measure it.
Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood.
Rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. And when he comes, he must continue a short time.
The seventh king will rule only for a short time, 3.5 years, the first half of the tribulation. Then he will be slain and will live again as the eighth king in a counterfeit resurrection. This king is not the Antichrist, but he comes to prepare the way for the Antichrist, as it was in the case of John the Baptist, preparing the way for Christ. That is why this king caused the temple to be rebuilt and the sacrifice to begin.
The beast that was and is not is himself also the eighth, and is of the seven, and is going to perdition.
He is the beast who ascends from the abyss. His emergence is found in chapter 9 of the book of Revelation.
Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon.
The eighth king is Abaddon or Apollyon. Because he is an angel, he could take human form, and that he did during the time of Noah's flood. He will do so again and take the form of the seventh king in imitation of Christ's resurrection. This is the Antichrist. He will rule for 3.5 years during the second half of the tribulation, during the pouring out of God's wrath on the earth. He will cause sacrifices in the temple to cease, and he will present himself as God in the temple to be worshipped. This is what is called the abomination of desolation by Daniel.
And on the wing of abominations shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate.
Jesus also spoke of it in Matthew 24.
Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place,
whoever reads, let him understand.
Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved.